What's up, doll collectors, hobbyists, fabsome besties? I'm Toya, an adult doll collector. Welcome to my miniverse. Before we get started today, and I know this is totally random, I went and had lunch with Bella and my water bottle had a really cool picture on it. I wonder if we can use it as art in the dollhouse. It seems to be just a sticker that we can peel off. Yep. We totally can. I have a few leftover scraps of foam board where I can attach the sticker. Let's trim it up a little, glue and cut skinny sticks to go around the edge. And we've got some miniature art for the dollhouse. Minis are everywhere and I love making more. Y'all, I was on Pinterest and I stumbled across junk socks. Sometimes they're called jeweled socks, bling socks, glam socks. But they're pretty much scrunchy tube socks, decorated with pins, beads, charms, buttons, or whatever else you like. I think this will be really cute for the dolls, so let's give it a try. Let's take a pair of socks. The thinner the socks, the better. I've had these for a while. I think I got them from the Dollar Tree, but I'm not 100% certain. Now let's take a doll. I place her leg in the sock to see how high we might want it to go. Then trim the sock, flip it inside out, thread a needle, place the turned inside out sock on the doll's leg. Sew along the leg. I'm doing a back stitch. If you don't want to sew on the doll, then we can just trace around the foot and the leg on a piece of paperboard. Then cut it out, place it inside of the sock. Then use the edge of the paperboard as a guide to sew going down the sock. Once it's finished, let's add another piece of paperboard to the other side and sew it just like before. I went over those stitches twice. I wanted to make sure they were tight, so when we trim them, the socks don't unravel. Now let's use our scissors and trim off the excess. Getting close, but not too close. Remove them from the paperboard. Carefully flip them inside out to make socks. Then let's place it back on the paperboard, and we've got a pair of scrunchy socks. And now we can decorate them. Let's run to the store to see if we can find a few charms. My first stop was Five Below, and I headed over to their earring section. My store didn't have any earrings, just a few necklaces with charms. So I headed over to Michael's to see what was in stock. They were having a sale, buy one, get one 50% off. So I took a look at what they had. I thought some of these charms were kind of cute. On this set of charms, I like the horseshoe, but we only get one. It looks like we might have to make our decorations. So let's take a gold chain. Yes, I bought the strawberry shortcake necklace. Do you see how adorable Custard is? Let's cut a piece of the chain, use a needle and thread to sew it onto the sock, and I think it looks pretty good. Let's use a little ribbon to make a few bows. This is 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna make the bow as small as I can. Glue or sew it onto the end of the chain. Let's use a little wire, needle nose pliers, and beads to make something that I hope will look like a safety pin. So first I take the wire and I'm gonna make a little loop or a circle. There we go. Then let's add a few beads. These are seed beads and I added 6. Then let's make another loop or bend. Then take the little end and we're gonna just wrap that around the first piece of wire. This is tiny work. Wire is sharp. You've been warned. Let's trim that little piece off. Bend the end of the loop down. Trim the other end of the wire to make a little tiny safety pin with beads. And we can close it if we just push that little end of the wire over and have it rest. Hold on, this takes a minute. There we go. The other end should rest on the little loop. And yeah, we got a little working safety pin that we can add to the socks. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that actually worked. I did find a few tiny earrings that I already had. So let's pick out one. I carefully bend the back, then slide it onto the socks. That works. This earring has a little bow charm hanging from it, so let's remove it and sew it onto the sock. We can sew a few beads directly onto the sock, and those are some pretty fancy little socks. I want to say we kinda got the vibe, but let us know what you think in the comments down below. In a recent video where we made doll clothes, we made a few buttons by cutting circles out of plastic, but they weren't perfect circles because I was just cutting them freehand. In the comments, you all said use a leather hole puncher, so I bought one for about $16, $17. It has a couple of different sizes. I've got a plastic container from Make It Mini Spaces, and I've been punching holes to get little perfect circles. Then I take a push pin and make holes on my cutting mat to make little tiny buttons for the dolls. Sew them on. I'm using these thin beading needles to add buttons to our socks. So thanks for the tip. While I was at Five Below, I picked up those straw toppers that look like tumblers. Let's take one and modify it a little. I'm not a fan of the straw, so I'm just gonna cut it off. Then let's cut the little loop on the side. Carefully cut a small hole in the top. Cut a piece of the tube and let's push it into the top so we can get a longer straw. Let's push in a few earrings. Let's add a piece of the strawberry shortcake chain by attaching one end to the earring. I found an earring that I like better. And since I'm not altering the earrings, I'm just pushing them into the cup, I can use a few of the earrings that I use for the dolls on the other end, then push it into the cup. If you're worried about your earrings bending, you can always make the hole first with a push pin to dress up our tumbler just a little to go with our new socks. Let's take a piece of cardstock, cut a rectangle, fold the bottom just a little, then we're gonna fold it again, even smaller. Fold it again to be about the same size as the first one, making a little triangle shape. Allow the rest to lay over the front and trim it. Cover the paper with ribbon, and it should still be able to fold, but we need to cover those sides. So I made a small little tube of ribbon. Let's glue it inside, and that should work. I'm going to glue mine shut, but before I do, let's glue on that strawberry shortcake chain right underneath the fold. Then I glue the top down to make a quick purse. Let's add an earring on the front, add a loop of beads, earrings, and a few charms, like strawberry shortcake custard, so the dolls can have a little fun accessorizing. And I found these charms at Michael's. They kinda look like cell phone cases to me. So let's add a black dot of nail polish, giving her another accessory. As long as we only show the back, it totally works. But you can always add a sticker or a picture to the front if you want a screen. Thank you for joining us while we made a few accessories for our dolls using a few charms. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell and follow us on Instagram and YouTube at My Froggy Stuff and Bella of My Froggy Stuff on Instagram, and on the YouTube channel Create Something Fabulous for college vlogs. And we will see you next time. Bye!